The Little Witch Adventures, Chapter 2, The Little Witch and the White Rose. The little witch stood 3 inches tall with her hat on, which was one of those traditional pointy black hats witches wear that make them taller. Without it, she was about 2.5 inches tall, roughly 3 centimeters. Now, this was not a traditional little witch, although she did like dressing in black. She didn't know why. She just did. Something about it made her feel slinky. She liked that. And she liked the word itself, slinky. The little witch loved unusual words. You could usually see her with her main accessory, her broom, though to be fair, it wasn't really an accessory. It was more like an extension of herself, a very handy tool. That was why she wondered if the trouble it had been giving her lately had something to do with her having been ill in the previous weeks. But more on that later. So as far as her physical size was concerned, it's clear she was little. But in spirit, holy cow, that's where she shone very brightly. That's where she excelled. That's where she had panache. Her spirit was what people who knew her called fierce. If she was your friend, she would be there for you through thick and thin. You could count on her. But if you made her an enemy, well, in general, it's just not wise to make an enemy of someone who knows magic spells. As far as her attire, she generally kept with the traditional witch look, black pointy hat, black ankle-length gown with long sleeves. She added white cuffs, though. That was one exception, and there was another. The little witch wore a white rose. There were 2 reasons for that. Of course, the white rose had to have the correct shrinking spell cast on it, otherwise it would have been way too big for her to wear. But she did that easily. It was no trouble at all. After the shrinking spell, the white rose fit perfectly on her breast pocket. The first reason why the little witch wore a white rose was it was a way of dressing that did not conform to the traditional witch ways. Our little witch was a nonconformist. The white rose was a small but noticeable declaration of that. The second reason had to do with something she called panache, another word she loved. She had heard it first quite by accident one early evening while sitting on a flower just outside the window of the house where she had her garden. The house owner was a mom with 2 sons, regular human beings, who lived in the house. The mom was reading a story to her older son. The story was about a famous swordsman and poet named Cyrano de Bergerac. The little witch was captivated. Cyrano de Bergerac was not only a bit of a rebel like her, but also a brilliant poet and a great swordsman, fierce and fearless in battle. She really liked that. In the story, the fearless Cyrano wore a white scarf, a dangerous choice since it made him more visible to his enemies. But he liked the look, and he didn't care about the danger. The white scarf became a symbol of his bravery and style. The word panache was used in the story to describe this stylish fearlessness, and the little witch chose the white rose as her own way of declaring to the world, "I've got panache."